Flipping it up and out. Bogut! A recent block by Bogut.
Good recovery by Andrew Bogut.
Let's get rogue.
Welcome to Rogue Bogues. It's the basketball series. Myself, Andrew Bogut, and Mike Procopio on the other end from the US. How's it going?
Bogues, what's going on, brother? I'm like a proud papa right now. I got one of my clients finally breaking the rotation for the Lakers, Max Christie. Had 2 threes to seal the game a couple nights ago, and now he had 5 quick ones against Washington. So just watching that, things are going good otherwise. So yeah, I'm sure I'll get fired by him sooner or later, like the rest of them. But you know, I'll ride high for now.
Yeah, you got to get that payout clause if they do fire. That's what all the smart agents do, bro.
Yeah. I think I get all my contracts from rocketlawyer.com or something, so I don't think there's any fucking payment clauses in there.
Yeah, all the templates. But a very busy week in the NBA and in the basketball world. A lot going on in the NBA, a lot going on here in Australia in the NBL. Obviously, the World Cup just finished. Do you watch Soccer Pro? Did you manage to catch that game?
Like, I got too much fucking shit I'm into. I can't, I got 800 fucking TV shows, the fucking Yellowstone, and now I got this shit, and now you're asking me to watch soccer. I do watch Ted Lasso. That's a good in the mix thing. But no, I don't. But everyone's been
fucking Americans, man.
Today about fucking Argentina.
It was a great game.
Yeah.
I didn't wake up for it. I'm not going to lie, because I think it was 1 or 2 in the morning here. When you got kids, that shit goes out the window. But I watched the highlights, and it looked like a fantastic game. 3-3 regulation, and penalties goes to Argentina. So any of you people that are following this for basketball, if you do not like soccer that much, or even if you do like it a little bit and you haven't seen those highlights, I highly urge you to go and watch it. It looked like a great spectacle, and soccer is just on a different level as a world game when the World Cup's on, so it's always fun to watch. But you are here for basketball, people, so yes, we can hear you. Let's get started. Team of the Weeks, Pro.
What do you got?
I have a few honourable mentions. Mm-hmm. I've got 4 honourable mentions. It's the East Coast. It's an Eastern Conference party.
Nice.
The West don't have one candidate that I had for Team of the Week.
Yeah.
My honourable mentions from the East: Miami, Cleveland, Brooklyn, Philly all had pretty good solid weeks of wins. But I'm going to give it, it's a tie for my Team of the Week, bro. It's a tie. I'm giving it to New York and Orlando, co-rookie of the year type award. Both of them deserve it. Orlando, a hell of a week, man. They beat Boston twice, playing really, really good basketball. And it just seems like it's starting to come together for that young group. And we said from the start, it's not always going to result in wins for that group. But if they can just stay in games and be close, squeak out a few wins, that's all you really expect from them this season. But man, to go down and beat Boston, I don't think Tatum played in the game today or yesterday. Is that correct? I think he was out.
I thought he played. No, I don't think he did. I don't think he did play. I think he got hurt.
He didn't play in the last game.
No.
But
was it personal reasons? Somebody was out for personal reasons.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I forgot.
I'm not sure, but I mean, this week they beat Toronto again. They played them 3 times in 4 games or 5 games. But anyway, they beat Toronto, they beat Atlanta, they beat Boston, and then beat Boston again. So they definitely deserved it. Like I said, Banchero is continuing to excel. Bol is playing very, very well. He's starting to rise. Long, athletic, bringing the ball up. Kind of Giannis-y a little bit with the way he just gets it off the board defensively and just brings it up, those long strides, then Euros into a dunk, doesn't even jump off the floor because he's just so long and athletic. But yeah, they've been good. And then the Knicks, I have to give it to the Knicks. I mean, they've had a lot of problems over the last couple of seasons with consistency and all that, and it looks like it's finally coming together. Look, they haven't had the hardest schedule in this, at least this past week. Their streak is 7 in a row. The 7 streak started with Cleveland, Atlanta, and Charlotte, and then over this last week, they've then beaten Sacramento, Chicago twice. Chicago look horrible, by the way, and Indiana. So the Knicks, it just seems like it's starting to steady out for them. Their rotations are getting right. They're getting healthy. Brunson's provided a much-needed kind of calming presence to that lineup, I think, at times, because now all of a sudden you don't have to go to an erratic Randall at times when you need a bucket, and then RJ Barrett still at times is inconsistent. So give that third monster in that starting lineup to get you a bucket, and Thibs must be happy with the way they're trending. But they're my 2 pro. I'm not sure what you think about those 2 squads.
I mean, we'll start with the Orlando Magic, which I did ask you before the pod started if you'd fire me if I picked them 3 weeks in a row. I mean, there's not really a better young team in basketball than those guys. Like young. I'm not talking about best team in basketball, but just a young team. Those guys are playing their hearts out. Jamal Mosley, like that's one thing that, he is a good coach and he's going to get better in time, but he gets guys to, sort of buy in. He's pretty truthful and sort of honest and, energetic and, lets people do what they do. And they got a lot of young talent. And, with Orlando, like, my biggest thing with Orlando, they gave that contract out to Jonathan Isaac, who was hurt. Had some bad luck early on in the tenure there. And now they've got, Wagner on Banchero, and they got Bol playing at the level that he is. And, I think they're just a good team. I think if they just hang in there, like we've been saying, and you've been a big part of it, saying that, like, look, you just gotta be patient with this group. And look, they're not a perfect group. I'm not saying that they're going to be the 86 Celtics by any stretch of the imagination, but they are a good team that you got to show up every night to play. Even if they don't have enough, they will compete for 48 minutes. They're a good team. They're solid. They got some young legs that just sort of comes at you and attack. They're not afraid. So it'll be an interesting team. They've got, I would say about 98% of their talents under their rookie contract. So they can control their own destiny with all of these guys. And, when it comes time to extend them, if they want, they'll be restricted free agents. They could extend them early. They'll be restricted that they can match. So they've got a lot of power going forward. They got a good coach. That's a good deal. And then New York, I think they've got them playing well. Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, they're playing better over, Brunson's been pretty solid all year. And then, Barrett's been playing decent and, getting some good minutes out of Randall and, some effective play. So I know they put Fournier in the bench, a couple weeks ago, and that's ended up being a decent deal. And yeah, they're playing, they're competing. I'm pretty critical of those guys, but I like them. I think Orlando's the best team, but New York's been playing well and solid, and going forward. And Tibbs has been taking a beating the last 12 months or so. I'm glad they've got some success. He grinds those guys out and plays hard. Have those guys plays hard and they compete. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. But you're right. There's really not a team in the West that you could say they could even compete with the teams that you've had on your list. Going forward with this week.
And you look at Orlando, just quickly. I mean, they've won 6 straight as well, by the way, just for everyone out there. They lost 4 straight before that, so they're 6-4 in their last 10. But their cap situation, man, as you said, next season they're on the books for $122 million this year, $110 next season. Then it drops to $31 million on their books. So, like you said, they're building talent with rookie contracts. You sprinkle in a few borderline, I doubt they're going to get a complete first-tier superstar because I'm not sure even if you want to with the youngs that you're bringing up, but if you can get that second-tier couple of those superstars in that cap and a couple more veterans, man, they're going to be a scary team in a year or two because they have a shitload of cap space to spend. If they make the right moves in that, what year is that, 2024, 25, if they make the right moves then they don't make any stupid deals, they got a chance to be really, really good, and obviously they got to keep some of that cap space for extensions the year after and whatnot with their rookie deals. But they're in a really good spot, and New York's at the bottom salary wise too. They're 21st, so they're not overspending with their roster for how well they're playing. Next season it goes up a little bit, but then it falls back down again. So 2 teams that are kind of in the bottom half of salary cap that are doing well. And look, Orlando, as we said, their record, people look at it, they're still bottom 5 in the East, yes, but a lot of people thought they'd be much worse. They look at their roster in the preseason, a lot of young guys, a lot of development to happen. To be winning games this early in that process is impressive. Who do you have this week?
Bogues, and just one more step with that is just like building teams, and how teams are so stupid sometimes with just signing guys to sign guys, and you throw away cap. the definition doesn't stop. It's the same for everybody. You develop, you evaluate great talent, and you draft well, and then you develop that talent, and then you just sort of sprinkle in free agents as they come along, and then hopefully the guys that you draft, you put them in, you put them in position to be successful, and I think that's a formula for any good team. Instead of just like giving money out, like, just throwing money out to huge free agent contracts to guys that don't earn it, like the Knicks, right? The Brunson contract, like, let's be honest, it's not that bad, in retrospect, because of the fact that, look, he's a starting point guard in the NBA. Starting point guard in the NBA is right around the average, around where he's getting paid, but it's like giving money out, Fournier's contract and things like that, and just bringing in, talent like that and just way overpaying, that could hurt you. In Orlando Magic, like you said, they're way down on salary, and now they could just sort of develop their talent, add a couple of pieces, and still be okay. My team, Bogues, this week is Brooklyn. They've been playing well. They've been sort of solidifying, and they've taken obviously their lumps early with the whole Simmons thing and Kyrie, and I think they've just been playing well. Those guys are competing, they're beating teams. They didn't beat anybody great this week, but again, just playing well. Just watching, like Kyrie and Durant and those guys go off. Remember that last week we were talking about Patty Mills stepping up and Cam Thomas stepping up. And I'll tell you what, they've got a nice young player in this kid. I always fuck his name up. Watanabe, and
Watanabe, that's it. You got it.
He's fun to watch, man. He shows energy. He makes shots. Right now, he's not
plays hard.
Bogues, he's not eligible for it because of the attempts. But right now, he would have been leading the league in 3-point shooting. He's at 54% from 3-point. But I don't think he has enough attempts or whatever. I forgot how they.
Yeah, he didn't play. He didn't play much in the start of the year, right? Is that why?
Yeah, and he only played in 50.
I think he was injured.
Right now, he's played in 57% of his games. So yeah, in most of the awards, it's got to be 70% or 72% of your games. But I'm not sure about the 3-point shooting. I thought like it has to be like you made or that you took a certain amount. I'm not sure, but. They are who they are. We talk about them all the time, but like they are still a talented group if they can get it together. Like, with Kyrie and Durant and, Ben Simmons doing his thing. And then look, you got other pieces like, you get Seth Curry and, Nick Claxton brings it every night. Royce O'Neal, Harris, Harris has been hurt. TJ Warren's been hurt. They're finally coming back a little bit. So, I mean, they're a good group. I don't know where they can go or how far they can go. Right now, I think they're sitting 4th in the East. So, second,
9-1 in their last 10. 9-1 in their last 10. They had a great month after a pretty average start. But they have the horses to, I've said this from the start of the season. I don't think, if you're Milwaukee or Boston, you don't want to see them in the first or second round. Looks like they're going to be in the upper echelon, but you just don't know. Like if KD eats his Wheaties and Kyrie come to play like they've been playing this last month, they could cause an upset. I mean, look, over the course of a series, you still favor Milwaukee or Boston, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think because those two guys can win you 1 or 2 games single-handedly in a series. So it'd be interesting to see, especially towards the end of the season when teams start playing. Avoid a seeding games, where they purposely lose games to fall up and down. Who avoids Brooklyn, who avoids, whether they want Brooklyn or Philly in that mix. The 4-5 is going to be really interesting because right now it's Brooklyn and Philly and the East is very, very deep. So I think Brooklyn are one of those teams. Philly I'm almost favoring Brooklyn more than Philly right now because Philly have started to turn it around, but Brooklyn just seem like they're figuring it out. So, and they got a deep roster, so they can have a few injuries, guys get in foul trouble, and then all of a sudden you got Patty Mills playing 0 minutes for 6 straight games, comes in and goes whack. You got Seth Curry who's been not playing as well the last couple of games, playing smaller minutes. So like you said, Watanabe, they've got a lot of weapons. So I'm high on them right now, just because I feel like they're starting to put it together, and the body of work they've done in December has been great. So I think it's a good pick, and I'd love to see them continue this form and give them the East a shake, because everyone kind of counted them out after the first month, right? Like they were out of the 10 at one point, I think. Early on in the season, they were 10 or 11. I think they might have fallen out for a couple of games, but good on them for figuring it out. They made a change of the coach, and it seems like they're actually a bit more bought into playing a bit more defense and sharing the ball a little bit, and knowing that at the end of the day, you got KD and Kyrie there to get you a bucket. So good for Brooklyn, pro.
Yeah, for sure. And look, when you got two guys like that, and as long as you fill in with other talent that gives a little energy, plays a little defense from time to time, you're going to have a chance. It's just, they got to stop the fucking nonsense. They got to stop and just play basketball. The whole Kyrie thing, the whole Simmons thing, just play. And they got talent. NBA rule. The first rule in the NBA doesn't start until players only meeting. The second thing is the most talent's going to win. 9 times out of 10. So, all they got to do is just sort of settle down, put it into perspective what they need to do. They got these two guys, they can stay healthy and they can go, and they got a nice little supporting cast and role. So, yeah, looking forward to watching those guys going forward.
And we'll go on to our team of the very week. That's what we're going to rename it, pro. We're going to go team of the very week. Hey. So if the listeners out there can't figure that one out, we're in some trouble, pro. So yeah, team of the very week. I'm going with Toronto, pro. They've been horrific over the last not just week but couple of weeks. They don't look good. It looks like, I'm not sure what's going on there. There's a push pull going on between, from the research I've done, Scotty Barnes, and then the older group I saw, Van Vliet and a few of the older guys saying, look, we're still young, and Siakam and those guys saying, oh, we've still got a lot of young guys. And I don't think the young guys are buying into that too much, because they've done a lot of dumb things. They've had late game situations a couple of games ago. They need a three. They brick the three. Siakam grabs a rebound under the basket with 2 seconds left and puts it in, puts the ball in the basket with like 1 point whatever left, and they're still down one. So, your basketball IQ stuff, you grab that rebound, you got to kick it out for a three. So they've done a lot of these things late in games that aren't, you don't really attribute those to a Toronto team. They usually move the ball so well, and usually the best shots usually found. This is becoming a push-pull between the young and the old, I think, and they're going to have to make changes. They have lost, what did they lose, 4 straight this week. They just got pelted by the Golden State Warriors without Steph Curry on their home floor, looked absolutely horrible, weren't in the game for much of it. They put on a bit of a fight in the fourth quarter and made the score respectable, but that could have easily been a 30-point loss without, once again, Steph Curry. So we know how much Golden State struggles without him, and the fact that I think that might have been Golden State's first road win. So they just look like they're all over the place. It's not a joyful place at the moment up there in Canada, in Toronto, and they I don't know what they do. They got a lot of pieces still left over from that championship, so you got to respect that. But yeah, Golden State last game, they lost to Brooklyn, they lost to Sacramento, and they lost to Orlando twice before that. So we talk about how good Orlando's been, considering Toronto's been horrible, pro, and I think I'm not sure there's a quick fix for them. But get this, here's a useful useless for you early on. They have not won more than 2 games in a row all season, pro. So that's pretty hard to do, and considering that stat, it's actually quite impressive that they're still in the running in the East. Like they're 10th right now at 13-17. That's only because they've lost 5 in a row. They were 500, and they have not won more than 2 in a row. So it's two wins, 1 loss. 2 losses, 1 win. So give me your thoughts on Toronto.
Bogues, so the young versus the old, you say. So obviously Scotty Barnes is part of the young group. Is the OG, is he part of the young group or the older group? OG.
He's the young group, yeah. So and I think it's Scotty's team, and he's the guy. Like he looks like he has a real high basketball IQ of making the right play. The few clips that I've watched, I actually watched one on YouTube not long ago, earlier today, where a guy made a point about it's not the young guys' fault. It's the veterans. high IQ players as they should be. They were more role players off Kawhi and other guys that have now been paid to be the guy, and it doesn't suit them. Whereas, you watch a lot of clips of Scotty Barnes, he makes the right play. Like he'll draw two and he'll kick it. You won't even think about it. Whereas some of these other guys, Van Vliet especially this season, has been pretty poor at, is he really a true point guard? He's more of a scoring guard, and he'll draw 2-3 and then shoot a 1 foot step back, and I think there's definitely an issue there with young and old. If I'm a betting man, I think they continue like this for another month. They're going to have to just surround this team around Scotty Barnes completely, accelerate that even more than they have, and move on from those other two guys and maybe get some picks back.
So you're dealing Siakam, you're going to deal Van Vliet, and then
potentially, yeah. I'll definitely look at Siakam. They've had history there with Nurse and him. He was suspended last season. Remember when he got into it with them? So I think there's some fire there. Van Vliet, neither here or there. I just don't think he's a permanent point guard fix. Like I think, they could get by with him when Kawhi was on the team, and Kawhi was basically, in the playoffs and the finals, he was your point forward at times. You can get away with a scoring guard, but when you need a point to actually in that system, create and distribute and do that, I just don't think he's that. I think he's a great player. I just don't think he's a natural point guard. So I think, like I said, my hunch is that if this does not get better soon, I would just go accelerate the growth of Scotty Barnes and be like, yep, you're our guy now. We're moving the other guys. We're going to get pieces around you to make you great, and we think you can be. And I think he's the one guy on that roster that I think his potential is much higher than anyone else.
Yeah, like I'm not really that high on Siakam. I never really was. Not that I'm saying he's a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. He's good. He was putting up 24 and 8 and 7. I mean, he does put up numbers, but I just don't know what he does great. He does a lot of good things. OG is probably, I think he's leading the league in steals, and obviously Scotty Barnes is good. And again, I think Scotty Barnes is a really good player. I don't think anything he does is great. I think he's got a high IQ, like you said. He knows how to play. And they got some issues there, because if they're not really winning games, and if there is an internal issue, and we don't know unless we're in the building and we're not. So, but they got to sort of go in a certain direction. I think Van Vliet, they've maximized his potential there. And look, if you're going to get off of him, I think you can get a laundry list of things. If you're dealing Siakam and Van Vliet, you just got to figure out what you want. It'll be interesting if they ever thought about pulling a deal with the Lakers, if the Lakers ever get back in the Westbrook, especially with Anthony Davis being on a month, what they would do if they would try to pull a deal.
But you look at Barnes' numbers right now. He's 15, 7, and 5, and he's probably, as far as the ball in his hands, he'd be the third, fourth option, third probably on that team. It's not like Van Vliet's dribbling the air out of it, and then Siakam's rarely getting making a play for someone else and getting an assist. So numbers aren't horrible at 15, 7, and 5. So I just wonder, can he? I mean, maybe you don't agree that. Can he be that guy in a year or two where he's your 1-2 option game in, game out?
Yeah, I mean, Siakam's got a usage rate of 28, and Bonds got, I think, a usage rate of about 20. I think, look, if you up the plays that you run to him and run through him a little bit more, yeah, of course his number is going to go up. I don't think Siakam's really a go-to guy, and he averages 25 and 8. He can definitely up his numbers and definitely get better without question. I think players in this league that get more reps as far as being the guy, they become better in most situations that they just learn from night in and night out, especially if you have a little bit of talent. I agree. If you're not going anywhere and you're going to finish 9, 10, or 11 and you really have no room for growth, you might as well look, to Dale Van Vliet, Dale Siakam, see what you can get. And then you just build it around Scotty Barnes, OG, and then maybe even keep Gary Trent Jr. for his shooting. It's a little weird to me. They're not better off right now. And I don't understand why that is, but they're just inconsistent, and I don't know. You'd think they would have had enough of those pieces that won a championship that they could at least sort of figure some winning things out. And I'm not saying they were a top 4 team, but 5, 6, 7 I expected. But yeah, they definitely get some tough decisions to make in the next, I say, 3 to 10 months.
Yeah, agree. Who you have?
I got Washington, Bogues, and I'm watching them right now. Look, they've got three really good players. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. Are they 1-9 in their last 10? Did I read that right?
Yep.
Yeah, they're just not winning games. I mean,
Eight straight, right? Lost
yeah,
eight straight,
yeah, and
isn't
they're
it?
losing tonight
Yeah.
right now by 9 to the Lakers. And look, like I thought with those three guys, with Beal, Porzingis, and Kuzma, and then they've got some nice little pieces like, Chris Burt and Will Barton and guys like that. You thought that they would be, a little bit more solid, but I guess not. I don't know what they're missing, but eight straight losses. I mean, it ain't like they're playing any juggernauts on their schedule on a regular basis. They just look sort of out of whack, out of sorts. Maybe it's because they don't really have a real point guard to really direct things there. Beal's sort of been having a little bit of an off year, as far as his scoring. Obviously, Porzingis there getting more reps, it's going to go down. But it's an interesting situation there, Bogues. What do you see there?
Well, Kuzma wants out the door, apparently. That's what we discussed last week, so that doesn't help the case. So he's inflating his numbers. Is he, truly committed to playing defense and getting down? Whenever you have guys that want to inflate their numbers and get out of town, it's not going to result in wins. I don't know. It just doesn't look like it fits. And, Porzingis needs to make that jump to be a proven winner. Like he's a highlight player, can make great plays. He knocks down the three ball at times and get hot from there, can throw it down on you, can block shots, but hasn't really resulted in winning for him. So that's probably the next step in his growth, but they should be better. And, Beal's injury doesn't help him. Their roster's not as bad as it's showing on paper, but I guess if we're arguing that, who do they replace in the 10 right now? And they've lost 9 straight, and if they lose to the Lakers, it's going to be 10, which is not great. And they're not a lose 10 straight bad team or roster, in my opinion. So, but who do they replace in the top 10, pro? Maybe Indiana. I mean, Indiana's starting to free fall a little bit, but at least they play hard and they play together, right? So that's the question with all this stuff. I mean, you just can't call it, and it's just I thought they'd at least be scratching a plane comfortably. They wouldn't have to grind it out like they are now.
Yeah, and the question, Bogues, is like too. I mean, you're gonna get something, no question. But like, what kind of players are you gonna get when if you deal in multiple or one or multiple of those, more than one of those top three? We talked about like what type of package are you going to get for these guys. That'll be interesting. Like if you're offered like Bradley Beal right now, the question would be like, what are you going to give for Bradley Beal, or what are you going to give for Porzingis? Like, is it 5 draft picks like Rudy? Probably not. What that's the question. 29 years old, Bradley Beal averaging 23, 3, and 5. 3-point shooting's 35, 87, and 52 from the field. One of the better, field goal shooting players at his position. I think his second field goal percentage at his position. And then like Porzingis, like he's been great within, been staying healthy all year. This year, no doubt about it. He's been playing really well. But again, like, what are you getting back? Are you getting? Do people give you all these draft picks for those guys? Do they? That's the thing. Porzingis has had some injury issues. Beal's getting up there in age. Kuzma is up and down, but he's been pretty good this year. So, like, do you think there's a lot of value for of course, there's value, but there's a lot of value for those guys on the open market? Like, are you going to get sort of what Utah got for Dalen Rudy and, Dalen Donovan Mitchell, or are you just going to get
maybe Beal, Porzingis no, Kuzma no, Beal yes, Beal, but then there's that. The injury thing with Beal is the problem, right? Like he just can't stay healthy. But Porzingis and that, I don't think they're at a Rudy level yet. to get that back just because they're not proven winners. Like Rudy, love him or hate him, whatever. Utah won games with him there, him and Donovan, right? So as much as you can criticize they didn't go far in the playoffs, they still won games and had enjoyable runs for that fan base and for that club. Washington with that group, or Porzingis in New York, or Porzingis in Dallas, not so much, right? So, and the same goes with Kuzma. I mean, he obviously got a championship with the Lakers, but Kuzma in Washington hasn't really helped them move it. And he's been playing okay, but like I said, he's a gunner offensively, and I question whether they're fully committed to doing a little thing. So I think most of those guys are looking to get out. So Washington's in all sorts. I think that's a good one, and hopefully they can get a win today against the Lakers, which moves on to our next segment where, real quick, a couple of stars injured. Anthony Davis is out for a month plus with a foot injury, and Steph Curry is out with a shoulder injury for at least a couple of weeks. So two teams that probably need their stars healthy right now, that are both around the same region on the tables. That I think especially the Warriors, man. They don't win a lot of road games at the moment. They're not in the greatest of form. They started to find it a little bit, I think. And I said they won their first road game against Toronto. I was wrong. They're 3-14 on the road, which isn't that much better. But without Steph, the Warriors, I think, are going to struggle. They're at 11th right now. Lakers right below them at 12th. They're basically a game and a half away from each other, and they're both missing their stars. So, this could be a hurtful month for the Warriors and the Lakers, and a pretty deep hole to dig out of until their stars come back. And, you don't want to be in the bottom part of that playing, because it's a grind to even make the playoffs at that point. But just two injuries to note there, Pro. I'm not sure there'll be much more made of that than what we know. Kemba Walker, gotta love it, Pro. I don't know if you caught his games there in Dallas. Single-handedly led a Luka-less Dallas Mavericks to an overtime loss at Cleveland, but he was balling 32, 7, and 5. Question I have for you, Pro. You love to see these stories first and foremost. 1 foot out of the league, grinded up through playing the G League for a week or two, called him up, and he goes banging his first game in the NBA. He's still a great talent. My question is, have they found their bench punch with Kemba? So Luka's healthy, all things considered, Dallas is healthy. Kemba goes into that bench role. Can he be a bench role guy without volume, Pro? Is he capable of that? Because we know, I think Kemba's most effective when it's like, hey, here's the ball, go get us some buckets and just play for 30, 35 minutes. Can he do that in a 15 to 20-minute role, Pro?
It's a good question, Bogues. And you don't know what kind of player he's going to be going forward. Like, is he healthy enough to do this on a regular basis? Not this type of numbers, like you said, his volume is going to be down. But, I mean, I think you have to find a way to get him 25 minutes a night if he's healthy enough to do that. Like, off the bench, you just find it with your minutes. Like last night, right? Kemba plays 42 minutes. And Tim Hardaway plays 44 minutes, and Frank, Ntilikina plays 22 minutes. Like, there's definitely minutes for him to play, I think, and I think you can get him. I think, like, when guys are coming off the bench, Bogues, with like him or Westbrook, you find a way to get those guys like almost starter minutes coming off the bench. I think that he needs volume for sure. He's not really that type of guy that can get 8 shots and do that. I think you're going to have to get him double-digit shots and find a way for him, coming off the bench. And I don't know, Bogues. I don't know. Like, he's so used to it. I never want to say never, because when you're doing this league, you get your ass bitten because of the fact that people end up just changing their mentality for at least a season. We've seen that with Westbrook. I think he can, Bogues. I just think you got to give him. You can't give him like that 12 to 15 minute. You got to up his minutes if he's healthy enough, to that 20, 22, 23 minutes off the bench. What do you think, Bogues? You think he's got the DNA to do that in lower minutes, or what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like he's a volume guy. Can he come in, contribute for 15 minutes, a la, maybe plays that Jordan Clarkson role? He'll need 25 to 30. I don't think those minutes are there, because when Luka's on the floor, it's gone through him. Then you're putting Kemba in the corner, and it basically becomes a glorified catch and shoot guy with Luka in the lineup, right? So, but I guess they did it with Brunson. Can they make him into a poor man's Brunson? Maybe yet to be seen. But I think Kemba, a 10 to 15 minute role. he can shoot you in and out of games. I don't think it's going to be a steady influence, and I think coaches off the bench like a steady influence. But unless J Kidd goes to him and says, "Hey, when we roll you out there, get him up," especially when Luka's out of the game. So I think he needs 20 plus to be completely effective. But I'll be watching closely to see how he goes, because if he can be effective for them at 10 or 15 minutes a game off the bench, it gives them a nice little scoring punch that they can then carry on some form. They can tweak that starting lineup again, because they've been searching and they've been playing better probably the last 2 weeks. I think they've gotten to a position where they're starting to they're 5-5, but it's looking a little bit better. Some close games. A couple of weeks before that, they were really struggling. So they're still trying to. J Kidd shuffling those lineups up. Hardaway's been off the bench now. Now he was starting. Then Dinwiddie was off the bench and he was starting. Then all three of them with Luka are starting. So now Christian Wood's starting at the 5. I mean, they're changing their lineups up, and they're desperate to try and figure things out. But interested to see how Kemba goes. But it's just a great story considering he was out of the league and kind of forgotten about, and he's grinded back. So message to everyone out there that it's not over till it's over. Fan interaction has been a hot topic again this past couple of weeks, Pro. And first one was Draymond Green. He gets a fan kicked out of the game. Where was that? Was that in I don't know where that was. Wherever it was on the road.
Milwaukee. Was it Milwaukee?
It was Milwaukee. Milwaukee, correct. Yes, it was Milwaukee. Gets a fan kicked out. He told the referee the fan threatened his life. The fan then, or made threats against him. The fan then said he made a joke about the Jordan Poole punch. That's all he did. When will this end? I mean, it's a dangerous territory. And I know Draymond very well. Very fiery guy. Likes to go back and forth. I can only give my examples. I've had interactions with fans. I think there's a lot of players can easily just lie about what was said. Like if someone, I've been seeing numerous times, I've had bad games and people have called me all kinds of, different things, and go back to Australia and you're a kangaroo and this and that. And especially when you're playing bad, at times you hear it and you're like, oh man, they got me good. That's a zinger, right? It's a good call, but I'm pissed off. I want to punch him in the face, but what can you do, right? It seems like now when players get zinged, they're like, I'm just going to make something up and get him kicked out. And they've got the power to do that. It's a very slippery slope. I don't think we want to condone that. I think I'm siding with the fans a little bit here, where I don't think it's fair. You pay your ticket. Yes, you get that with the guidelines on the back of your ticket, and they give you that red card as your final warning. But how do we know, you and I have been around NBA players. I mean, do all of them tell the honest truth every day of the week? Like, come on. They lie just like anyone else. You're now taking the word always. It's just like, yep, player said you said this, you're gone. Or it's like the fan has no chance to be like, hang on a second, I didn't say that. It's only a matter of time to one of these fans as well takes it to court and sues. And, rightfully so. Like, imagine you get accused of saying something sexist or racist by a player. That gets leaked, which has happened before. You're in the media, your face is in the media, and then you come to find out a week later that it was false. I mean, it's only a matter of time, Pro, but I don't know what you think of it. There was another one with Ja Morant, but that was a different one, I believe. The referees in the last-minute report said they kicked him out because Ja Morant was talking to the fan, saying the refs were cheating. He's having one of those discussions about like, yeah, man, these dudes cheating, man. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And they kicked him out because of that. They said it was nothing to do with the interaction about the fans going back and forth. It was what he said about the referees. But what are your thoughts on this, Pro? Is this going too far?
Well, Bogues, I think giving a player that much power to be able to just kick random people out just for going back and forth at him it's a dangerous thing. Because I don't believe many players, especially when, if they're losing or whatever, they could just sort of pick people out, if they're having off nights or even on nights, whatever, just to have that power to do that. Also, I do think that fans take it to another level as far as trying to get involved and trying to go at it with the player. It's either they think they're entitled because they paid all that money for the ticket, or they just want to get on social media and go viral with the video of them going at it with a player and saying, hey.
But what's too much, Pro? What's too much is my point. Like if they're throwing out jibes about like the Draymond punch, for instance, and Jordan Poole, like, oh, you beat up your teammate. Is that okay? Or are you talking like where's the line? Like that's the problem. If it's not swearing or, you know, you're not engaging in any sexism, racism, all that kind of stuff, obviously we throw that out where it should be. But where do you draw the line then? You know, is it just strictly cheering for fans? Because, you know, you go overseas and play in some of these places and it's 100-fold of that, you know?
Yeah, and, you know, look, in the game's going so fast, like, how do you have enough time? How do you have enough time to, like, as a referee, because obviously you didn't hear the guy for the most part. 9 times out of 10, they never hear it. The player does. So the player comes to him and tells them about whatever, right? So you can't stop the game for that long and sort of, do a trial here because, and who knows what the fan says. A lot of times it's not that bad, but, they take the player's word for it. And now you're going to have this cry wolf situation where, like, all right, so it's, Draymond says that he got threatened, his wife got threatened, blah, blah, blah. And now, like, every time a fan says a little bit of something as a ref, you're going to overreact and have to rule on it during the game. And it's just like, there's no universal rule that you could have. Like, what is it? You don't swear at a player. You don't engage in a player. You don't, like, how is this going to work going forward? And if you're a fan and you're getting thrown out and you're getting tossed, especially if you're paying $1,500 or $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a courtside, and somebody has a bad night and LeBron or somebody has you thrown out and I don't do anything, shit, I'd sue the fuck out of the team. I'd sue the fuck out of somebody. Look, like, you don't know, but a lot of times these fans just take it another level, so you don't know. But, like, it's just the thing, you don't know, and there's no way to police it. Do you say no swearing? Do you say don't interact at all? Like, I don't know what the answer is, but it's a lot of power to give a player just to throw things out, throw people out. Like, in some cases there's some things thrown or somebody goes like really hardcore at a player and they should get thrown out. But then then there isn't. And then it's just playful, and what's playful versus not. And, some players can take it and some players are way oversensitive. So I think there's almost zero, things that you can do for it unless you just say don't, you interact with a player and you start going back and forth with the player, you're out. But, like, those guys pay $5,000, $4,000, $2,000 for a courtside seat. What are you going to tell them? You can't interact with players? Like, and that's part of what the league wants anyway. Like, they want a friendly banter going back and forth and, involvement with certain people and all that. I don't know, man. I can't give you a total answer. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, I mean, are you going to stop booing as well? Are you going to stop clappers? Are you going to stop people waving while they're shooting free throws? I mean, I just don't like the fact that I get it. Look, when it gets really heated, where you think, shit's going to go down, a la the Malice in the Palace back in the day, I get trying to de-escalate those situations. Whereas if it's clearly heated and you can see a player and a fan going at it, they're about to go face to face, and there's some crazy stuff said. All right, you diffuse the situation, you throw the fan out or you move them somewhere else. Totally get it, right? Because you can't throw the player out, right? But where it's just like a bit of back and forth, and like you said, the referee's got so much shit to think about half the time trying to just officiate the game correctly with all the shenanigans going on within an NBA game. It doesn't sit well with me that you can just be like, hey, that guy said this or that lady said this, get him out. And the referee's like, okay, yep, see, hey, security, get him out. It's like, well, and there's been numerous cases of that. Look, there's been cases where the player's correct, but there's been a lot of cases where even people around the fan that got kicked out are like, no, they didn't say that. And then it's too late. And anyway, in this case, Milwaukee's given that fan free tickets to the next game or two and an apology because I guess everyone around the fan corroborated what he said, that he didn't make any threats. He just made a pun about the Jordan Poole thing, and it stung Draymond, I guess. And it's just a slippery slope. I don't like it, and I played in an era where I went back at fans numerous times. I went back and forth with fans in the NBA, the NBL, but I never went to the referee no matter what they said. At times, thinking back, bro, there were some people that said some things to me early on in my career, especially, that I could have got thrown out today quite easily. But I just never crossed my mind because I was like, they made a pun. I went back at them just as hard. and went back and forth, and it was pretty bad at times. It was swearing back and forth, and then I got on with the game. And I never thought I'm going to go tell the referee. So just a different era, and I think it's a slippery slope for the NBA. They need to fix that. Mark Cuban voices complaint to the NBA about Giannis's free throws. So your local resident there in Dallas has formally complained to the NBA that he's counted 12 seconds numerous times. That's popping up again with Giannis. So they're messing with the two-time MVP pro. There are times where he does get over the 10 seconds, and I guess Cuban was frustrated because they didn't call it in a 1-point game late in the fourth quarter, which they should have by the rule. I'm not sure your thoughts on that, but it's been an issue for the last 3 or 4 years.
I don't understand why they don't just have like a light on the backboard where like an official scorer just starts to count and they take it out of the referee's hands. I just don't understand why you just don't do that. It's just, it'll make it so much.
Well, it's the only guy that does it really, pro. So essentially it'd be a light for one guy. I don't know anyone else in the NBA that has a routine that goes for 10.
It's a good point.
You know,
it's a good point, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, when you're like, it's sort of like the 8-second count in the backcourt. Like if you're just leaving it up to somebody to count versus somebody, versus a machine or a computer to do it, that's what you're going to have some human error, but it happens a lot. I think just refs just say, hey, just get it off. Like they don't want to bust the players' balls by doing it, but the guy's shooting 62% from the line. It ain't like it's fucking helping too much either. So. But I'm saying I don't.
They could use a shot clock, actually, pro. They could use a shot clock, couldn't they? Technically, they don't need another light. Just put the shot clock at 10 and just count it down.
Yeah, exactly. But
you got to reset it anyway.
Yeah. But it's
who'll complain?
But Bogues, it's just like hey, look, it's rules are there for a reason. Like if it's 10, and obviously that count goes. We see it in the playoffs. We've seen it like it goes higher than 10, and it doesn't get called. Very rarely have I ever seen that called against him. But what are you gonna do, man? I don't understand it for the total.
I don't know why Cuban's so fussed about it, because the Eastern Conference team, if they were in the West, maybe a bit more shenanigans there and a bit more kind of chess for meeting them in the playoffs. But you're only going to play them twice in the season, and I don't think Dallas and Milwaukee are going to end up in the championship together if I had to bet today.
No, but you know how competitive Cuban is. I mean, Mark's fucking, he's
fuming a little bit. Yeah.
He hates losing to anybody. So I could see him being upset about it. But look, like he's big on the rules, like as far as like game rules and things like that, and he's read up on them. And if it did cost him a game, I could see him why he got upset or whatever. But yeah, they should just definitely do something. They, like I said, I think they should just do it where like there's a little light that goes off. And I know he's the only guy, whatever, but like at least they have it where now just take it out of the referee's hands. So this way, like, this way that they just don't let it slide, or somebody doesn't make a mistake. It just goes. It goes into that. But
just put the shot clock at 10, pro. We don't need a light. We don't need an extra fucking light. Put the shot clock at 10. As soon as they hand him that ball, it starts counting down, so he can actually see it.
Do it in the NBL first, folks, and then it'll bring it to the NBA. Then you could take,
because we don't have anyone taking 12 seconds. Although we shoot a lot of free throws in some games, which I'll get to later. But we don't have guys taking 12 seconds. But I don't even know. Like I don't think refs even really count for the most part. Like if you were to do it the first time in an NBL game, they wouldn't count until they thought someone was going to actually go over, because no one does it. Everyone shoots. The max dribbles you see are 3 slower dribbles or 5 quick dribbles, and it's up. Like, so interesting one. All right, Qatar Investment Authority is looking to purchase the Suns for $3 billion. So we don't have to get into that too much, but that'll be interesting to see if there's any protests in Phoenix, because we know the Qatar World Cup didn't go down too well with a lot of people politically, so they're looking to buy the Phoenix Suns for $3 billion. So interesting to see there. Did you see the Tyrell Terry retirement, pro?
I did.
Interesting one. 2020 number 31st pick of the NBA draft. Retired from b-ball. He basically said the game began to destroy me, quote unquote. I experienced the darkest times of my life, to the point where instead of building me up, it began to destroy me. I can't continue to fight any longer for something I have fallen out of love with, pro. So I respect the fact that he's said adios, because there's a lot of players that probably are in a similar situation but just hang on for dear life for that check. But I think this might be a decision that he comes to regret in 5 or 10 years, pro.
Yeah, I mean, Bogues, this sport isn't for everybody. And if you're if you like a LeBron or you like a Luka, you like a Giannis, right? You become a great player within 12 to 18 months. It just balls handed to you, and that's it. Like, and everything's not easy for you because you got to carry it, but like it's smooth sailing for the most part. Like you're going to be the guy, and it's, you don't really have to struggle for much anymore. Once you get to that status, it's really hard to knock you off. For most players in the league, especially ones that get drafted in certain spots, and they have to bring it every day just to like make the active roster. They've been a great player in high school, in college. They've always been the go-to guy, and now they come to the NBA where now you just have to play like Michael Jordan just to get on the active roster. And then from there, you better hope you pray you don't get hurt. Then you got to continue to work, and you got to continue to contribute, and you got to contribute to claw out, and then make it long enough where you actually get a chance to be in the rotation, and then continuous rotation. There's a lot of people killing you on social media. There's a lot of fans, as we just talked about, on you. Everybody's on you. Then like those things are a lot tougher to sort of deal with, and I think that people don't understand how hard it is to succeed in the NBA, stay in the NBA, not even talk about being a rotation player or an all-star level player. I'm just talking about making it. And I think that, he was a little bit of a flawed player. And I just think that these trials and tribulations are just really tough for him to deal with mentally, where like, he wasn't seeing the results, and then probably had some, skeletons in his closet, and then some mental stuff on top of it. But I think it's really hard. This, Bogues, like, and you played with plenty of players that had great careers, pre-NBA, and then just couldn't deal and cope with how hard it is just to get to the starting gate in the NBA. Forget about being really good in the NBA. What are your thoughts? I mean, do you think any of that makes sense, or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's basketball is only a small part of playing the NBA, right? Like there's a lot, man. Like if you've got a family, you're not seeing them much. If you've got kids, you're not seeing them much. You're on a plane every other day. Look, very well treated, yes. Chartered planes, 5-star hotels, but it can be a bad cycle if you're not enjoying it, or at least trying to have the mental kind of stability to be steady with it, right? The ups and the downs. It might be, he doesn't play for 6 straight games and he gets thrown in and makes a mistake, and it's like, I'm not going to play another six more games. I'm doing all my work individually on the training court. I'm putting in time and effort. I'm playing well at practice. Why aren't I playing? Or might not have a good relationship with the coach. Might not have a good relationship with a star player. Might not be liked in the locker room because you're different. It might not be that you're a bad person, but you just might be different. You might dress different. You might like different things. You go to different shows. You like different music, whatever it is. You're from a different country. You don't speak the language. These are all things you got to, as a professional sportsman, that you have to take in stride. It's just kind of, it's seen upon as by most people as, it's easy, just do it, suck it up, but some people can't do it. I've seen many that just struggled with it. I struggled with it at times, like early on in my career, just trying to find my place and then at one point I'm just going to be myself. I was okay with my own skin pretty early on, and I figured that out early on. But if you go in trying to fit in, do what, I need to do this to fit in, it's constantly a guessing game. And I think basketball is a small percentage of probably what he's gone through, in my opinion. I think it's everything else, and it's not just basketball. And obviously, if he's on the court playing 30 minutes, I don't think this comes up as much. So I think basketball does help, but I think it's everything else, man. And there's so much you have to take in, and then you go along with, new friends pop up, and then you got family members asking you for this, that, and this because you're deemed rich and you're in the NBA, and then you've got, and these are all things that you're 19, 20, coming out of college or high school or overseas that no one can prepare you for. I don't care how smart you are. Like Pro said, LeBron, Luka, these people different. They've got a team around them. They can afford to have a personal assistant, an agent to an agent, their uncle or cousins, their their PR person or their PA person, or doing their errand. They've got a chef in the house. That's a different story, different level. When you're mid to lower level, there's a lot more stresses. So, I mean, I wish him all the best. I just, I hope he hasn't making a rash decision because of the moment he's in right now, rather than trying to at least maybe take a break for a month. Don't just tear the contract up and walk away. I think that's a big, maybe an overreaction. Give it a month or two and take time. They've got all this, NBA talks about all this mental health shit all the time. I'm sure that'd be okay if he took a month off paid leave to get his mental health right and then see how he comes back. But I don't think there's an answer to it. I think it's sad to see and sad to read. You wish him all the best, and I just hope he finds a purpose that's not basketball, like he said. So that was an interesting one that came up this week. More trophy shenanigans though this week, Pro. They've renamed all the trophies. NBA loves trophy talk. So the MVP has been renamed to the Michael Jordan Trophy. Fair enough, right? On that one. Yep. Hakeem Olajuwon trophy is the Defensive Player of the Year trophy. Okay with that one?
Why not, Bogues? Yeah.
Why not? Okay.
Definitely. Olajuwon was one of the best defensive centers ever to play, and one of the best two-way centers ever play. Dominating on both sides of the ball, and I guess I'm okay with it. Look, Jordan was a great defender, Pippen was a great defender, Bill Russell was a great defender, but they keep Olajuwon. Why not?
Makes sense. All right, this one I don't really understand. The Rookie of the Year is the Wilt Chamberlain Trophy. Did he just got a trophy? Cause why the Rookie of the Year?
I have no idea. Because he was. I mean, I don't know what his rookie year was like. I mean, he's one of the best players ever played.
That's why I was like, why? Yeah, why the Rookie of the Year? Because they're like, holy shit, we can't give you the other ones. We'll give you the rookie one anyway. John Havlicek, Sixth Man of the Year. He was a pretty good sixth man, I guess, wasn't he?
I don't think Havlicek was a fucking sixth man. I thought he was a Hall of Famer, like a big timer, but maybe
he came off the bench for a bit, didn't he?
Yeah, they should make it like the Russell Westbrook Sixth Man of the Year or something like that. Let's do it up. I don't think there was enough tomfoolery in these awards. Like I would have given the Luka Doncic referee appreciation award. I would give the Draymond Green.
Havlicek was a sixth man, yet without further ado, though. He's according to Google, the 10 greatest sixth men in NBA.
I wasn't alive during it. I didn't follow his career like that. I knew he was a great player, one of the best Celtics of all time. I had no idea he was sort of a sixth man type guy. I know Kevin McHale was sixth man. About half his career, he was sixth man. And then he hit the
8-time NBA champ, 13-time NBA All-Star. 11-time All-NBA, 8-time All-Defensive Team. So pretty good for a six-man. Jeez. Might want to start that guy, I reckon. That's trophy. And then the George Mikan, he gets the most improved player. So now he has a trophy and a drill named after him, Pro. George Mikan, the Mikan drill. But Evan Turner got a little bit of backlash this week, Pro, because he said if there's ever another NBA bubble, it should be called the LeBron James Trophy. And he copped some shit for that. He copped some because
I didn't even hear about this. Who gave him shit?
Oh, just online, all the LeBron people, all pro LeBron people were just killing him, like putting up clips of LeBron, like LeBron blocking him for a dunk, because obviously the Lakers did very well in their championship, the bubble championship. A lot of people say it's not a real chip, but to me it's a chip because it's an NBA season. But he I thought it was a pretty clever quip, but he copped some shit for that one. Some gold, some absolute hilariousness by the Miami Heat, Pro. I don't know if you saw this during the week, but they were fined. This is awesome. They were fined $25,000 for violating the NBA's injury reporting rules. So Miami had several players listed as questionable or probable for Wednesday's game against Oklahoma. A handful of those players sat out, but others who played never had their status updated to available prior to the game. So for context, people, when you have people on an injured list that are there's all these, there's four of them, isn't there? There's out, probable, unlikely. What's the other one, Pro? Probable, unlikely. Questionable, yeah. There's like four different ones, and it's like 25% chance, 50% chance, 75, 100, and 0, right? And then I think you can announce in the morning of, like, Mike Procopio is probable for tonight, and then I think it's 2 hours before tip, right? You have to declare what they're doing. Like you have to say the scorekeeper literally comes in our locker room when you see him. Like, where's your coach at? He's a sheik. Can you let us know if this is correct?
Lineup. I think the injury report has to be it, but I think the starting lineup, that's when that little geeky guy comes in and asks for your, I always thought it was fucking hilarious. because Carlisle is like always getting ready or whatever, and this guy comes in, and I'm like, oh fuck, like you never knew if he was gonna explode, or he never really exploded on guys like that, but like I'm like, oh, this poor bastard's gonna fucking ask about lineup, but then you get a lot of coaches that like hold the lineup until the last possible second. You get a lot of shit like that going on too.
But anyway, yeah. So the 2 hours before, you got to give in who's active for that game. So they fined the Miami Heat for $25,000. So in response, the Miami Heat listed every player on their active roster on the injury report prior to their game against the Spurs on Saturday. This matchup is taking place in Mexico City as part of the international series. So only Jamal Cain, G League assignment, and Gabe Vincent and Omar Yurtseven injured are listed as out. The remaining 13 players are listed as questionable or probable to play in the game. I love it. That's fantastic. Just take the absolute piss out of it. Like, all right, cool. You want us to write everyone down? They wrote down their whole team, pro. So, and you wouldn't usually see that kind of comedy coming out of Miami Heat. They're usually pretty military-like. Yeah, fantastic. Love it. Love it, Miami Heat. Love that kind of stuff. I love when people go a little passive-aggressive with their trolling. Big fan of that. Australians of the Week, pro. Joe Ingles, supposedly returning tomorrow. So that's the rumour according to Woj and all the big media people out there. He didn't let us know, so thanks for that, Joe. But he's apparently back, which will put him at 10 months from his injury, pro. Pretty quick for an ACL. It's amazing how far surgeries and technology have gone these days to get guys back from an ACL, because it was 12 plus months, 80s, 90s, 2000s. So they've done a great job with that. So he'll be back soon. Josh Green's been out the whole week with an elbow injury. Hopefully he gets well. Delhi, 1 game for 9 minutes and 1 assist, so not much there. Only played in 1 game this week. Jock Landale, again, has been in the lineup and been pretty productive off the bench. He had his first double-double of the season, pro, with 15 and 10 against the Clippers. Second of his career, and he averaged 7 points, 5 rebounds, and a block for the week, which is pretty good coming off the bench for a big fella. So good on him, and he's starting to solidify that bench role again. Patty Mills, DNP, no games, and actually no suit-ups, I've noticed. So he's not even dressing at the moment for Brooklyn, which is interesting. Dyson Daniels, 6 points, 3.3 rebounds, 1.6 assists. Nothing too flashy, just a solid contributor for them. Nothing too flashy on a stat sheet, but shows glimpses. Matisse Thybulle, probably his best game of the season. He had 15. No, he had what did he have? 15 one night, but averaged 9 points and 2 rebounds per game. Pro was 3 for 4 from 3 versus the Sacramento Kings. So he must have heard our podcast and got him up for you. Shot it at 75%. So let's hope he continues that shooting streak, but he's starting to find a little bit more minutes as well. Jack White, pro. Now he's not playing for the Denver Nuggets at the moment, but his G League numbers are fantastic. He's putting up 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 2.3 assists with a 48% clip from 3, pro. He's shooting a fair bit of them at 48%, which is very, very impressive, because in the NBL, his three wasn't where it is today. He was very inconsistent with it at times. Teams would play off him and muck him and dare him to shoot him. So really, really good growth there from Jack White, and 18 and 10 with 2 assists in the G League is nothing to sniff at. So good on him. Ben Simmons, 8 points, 7.6 rebounds, and 6 assists again for the week. And Josh Giddey wins it again this week, pro. Surprise, surprise. He's going to win our title. I think this is going to be his 3rd Australian of the Week award. He's at 14.6 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game. 5 for 9 from 3 this week, pro. So probably his best week shooting the 3 ball besides the preseason. And this will be his 3rd Australian of the Week trophy. So he's in the box seat. Ben Simmons has 1 since we started it, and that's it. So we need someone else to step up and give us some good numbers, pro. Any thoughts with that list?
Yeah, I'll add one to it. Dante Exum from playing for Partizan this year. I'll give you some numbers, Bogues. How about shooting 56 from the 3, 67 from the 2, and 96 from the line? All right, coming from left field. I'm coming from with Australian numbers now, Bogues. Dante Exum.
Serbian numbers.
Yeah, talk about he's the Kemba Walker of fucking EuroLeague, that they thought he was out of basketball, and this fucking guy's putting up video game numbers, folks. Good for him. But
Go through those again.
Yeah.
What are those clips?
So they don't have field goal percentage for some reason, but they got his 2-point percentage. His 2-point percentage is at 68. His 3-point percentage is at 56, 14 out of 25. And he's shooting 96% from the line, 26 out of 27. So
smoking.
Yeah. Coming to an NBA team near you at some point. Hopefully as an NBA
player. He'll be back in the NBA. I mean, he needed this, I think, to get his confidence up. He had a bad injury run in Utah. He was couldn't really solidify a spot in the NBA. But I mean, Utah paid him. I think he got 4 years, 48, I think, or 4 years, 40, somewhere along those lines. So they saw this. They saw this potential in him. He couldn't stay healthy and get on the floor for him as much, and his three ball probably wasn't where it needed to be with having Mitchell as the primary playmaker and then moving Dante to, the 2 or the 3 at times. So they would definitely welcome him back right now. And those are amazing clips to see if he can sustain it in one of the toughest places to play in Europe, bro. They are.
Yeah.
One of the most unforgiving places you can play when you're losing, but when you're winning, you own that city. He will not be paying for a meal, a coffee, or anything in that city. So that's a good one. I totally missed that one, and hopefully we'll see. I think we will see Dante back, and he'll be a formidable part of the national team. And I think he's got a really good chance of getting back on that team again. All right, Dabble is betting meets social media. On Dabble, you can follow your friends, mates, stalk all the experts and trending tipsters. Scroll through trending bets, copy them all in one tap. Get alerts when your mates and expert tipsters place bets. And most importantly, you can follow me, Andrew Bogut, all in one word. I do dabble in some NBA multis from time to time that you can copy. So go on, download the app at the App Store, Dabble, all one word, dabble socially and gamble responsibly. All right, the NBL Pro, the New Zealand Breakers, they get first place back without playing a game this week, bro. Their game got cancelled versus the Perth Wildcats due to COVID. Yes, COVID's still rampant here in New Zealand and Australia, apparently. I have an issue with this, bro. The COVID shenanigans can be a slippery slope. And what I mean by that is, if you have a few injuries, your star players out and you've got an important game coming up, I mean, can you just say half your team's got COVID? From what I understand is your team doctor just needs to sign off that they have COVID. So I don't love this. I know New Zealand's very strict on all this COVID stuff right now. And I'm not saying New Zealand did this by any means, but I'm saying there is a chance for people to manipulate this rule in the future. Let's say there's 2 games left in the season. Right. And you have a make or break game against Team X, and that game will solidify you a playoff spot, and 3 guys go down with a rolled ankle at practice, and they're your 3 main guys. Oh, got COVID. Sorry, let's delay this game a week. And New Zealand in this instant, they had COVID and they've got injuries, so they couldn't field enough players. But I don't know. I'm cognizant. I'm not saying teams are going to do it, but we've seen stranger things, and teams sometimes will toe the line to try and win and get an extra week's rest and all that kind of stuff. So don't love it, but they didn't play this week. The Kings lost. They went 1-1 actually. They lost 1-1, beat Illawarra, which wasn't too convincing, and they lost to the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix down in Gippsland, Victoria, in country Victoria. They had a game out there as part of the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix's home games away from home to get a bit more funding from the Victorian government there. But this game went a double OT, pro. We had 240 balls. Mitch Creek with, I think, 46, and Walton Jr. From the Kings, he was in the 40s as well. The commentators were raving how good this game was. I beg to differ. Not just because the Kings lost. I would have said this regardless of the result, and it was a 1-point win for the Phoenix in double overtime. Pro, there were 65 fouls called in this game. Yes, it did go double overtime, but that's about the equivalent of an NBA game with double overtime in FIBA. It's 50 minutes, so 48 minutes in the NBA. It ended up being 50 minutes in FIBA, so 2 5-minute periods of overtime and 40 minutes of regulation. 79 free throw shot, pro. 79 free throw shot. It just was not an enjoyable game for me to watch. I don't think it's a great product for the NBL to have on a weekly basis. I don't think it's going to be, but this is one of those games that's come up that was horrendous. And now there'll be people out there that say, well, they were fouls. If you want to call a foul every possession of an NBA or an NBL game, you can, right? There's holding and grabbing off the ball. The referees need to have a feel for, did this foul affect the play? And what I mean by that, for people that are wondering, if I shoot the ball from one side of the 3-point line, one wing. I shoot it, it bounces, and it's bouncing towards the clear other wing. And on that side I shot it, there's two guys wrestling for a rebound, and a foul gets called. That's my point of a pointless foul. It had no effect of where the ball's going. Those two guys never could have got the ball. And by the letter of the law, is it a foul? Yes. But we need a feel for it did not affect the play. It doesn't. I don't need to blow my whistle because I've got it in my hand. And this was just a hard game to watch. 79 free throws equates to a 2 free throw shot every minute of the game for the whole game in a 40-minute game, right? So it's just really, really painful. There was a lot of flopping going on from both teams. I'm not going to just point out one team, but there were some flop calls from both teams. And when the player flopped, they got the call on both sides. So do you blame the player? Do you say, okay, like, stop flopping? But the referee's giving me the call. So I think we're back to where the NBL was a couple of years ago, where FIBA brought in the flop rule, where you're like, you know what, we're pinging you if you flop, we're going to give you a warning and then a technical foul. They need to hand those out very early in games. No benefit of the doubt for flopping. And then there was, there were some players out there that were diving all over the floor, and some younger guys that got on for Southeast Melbourne. And I don't blame the player, let me be clear, but there was a lot of diving going on, and it just was not a game that I think you want to sell to advertisers and to people out there. But in saying that, there were two players that were absolutely balling, to Mitch Creek and Walton Jr. So you got to give it that. But just a game that you probably would have fallen asleep at, Pro, and probably would have finished 4 cartons of popcorn at. But not a game you want to be at live, Pro. I'm not sure if you've ever seen a game with 80 fouls called.
Oh, fuck. No, thankfully, no. That would not be fun.
Not a fun game. The game, for context, went for 2.5 hours on TV runtime. It did go to double overtime, but a 50-minute game should not go for 2.5 hours, period. And that was because there was a whistle every other 30 seconds. Cairns had a great weekend. They go 2-0. They beat the Bullets, not too convincingly, but got over the line, and then they beat Tasmania in Tasmania. Few big signings. Ian Clark has signed with the Adelaide 36ers, Pro. They still haven't announced it for some reason, but I've got word from, the word came from the man himself. So very, very big pickup for the Adelaide 36ers. This could really put them into that upper echelon of the NBL. It is the middle of the season, but he will provide just championship grit. He's a winner. He can get you tough buckets, which is exactly what they need. So looking forward to seeing how that goes. It does hurt a little bit because we obviously wanted to bring him back, Pro, in the offseason to Sydney Kings, but he wanted to have a shot at get back in the NBA. He went to some training camps, floated around there a little bit, and then he's been out of work since then. But we had to obviously establish our roster, and we did. So we wish him all the best. We hate to see him in a rival club, but see how that goes. And Joe Chi, Pro, the Chinese superstar, has left the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix abruptly after this weekend. Played in that game yesterday that went to double overtime. There's an announcement around family. Whether you buy that or not is your prerogative, but the writing was on the wall. He wasn't playing a lot of minutes. He's been hurt a little bit this season. Didn't look like he was put in a position to succeed there too much with his skill set. They got a 7'3" guy showing on pick and rolls at half court. Probably not the most, the best use of his skills when he can protect the basket the way he does. But he's out of there, and he's gone back to China for some family things. But I think reading between the lines, I don't think he was too happy with his second season in South Melbourne, Pro. So he will pop up again in the Chinese league over there. That's
an interesting one, Bogues. He's an interesting player because he's really skinny, but he's tall, 7'2", 7'3", can shoot threes. Had a cup of coffee.
Oh, he's not shooting them here.
No.
He's not shooting them here. No. I don't know if that was he shooting him in the NBA?
I want to say that he was. I remember I had a meeting with him when I was in China working a Nike event, and they sort of sat me down with him because they wanted to sort of model him a little bit like Porzingis or a Dirk or something like that. Not that he was going to be that good, but like that type of a player, stretch big. And I'm almost positive he was shooting some threes in Houston. I could be wrong on that, but obviously I didn't watch him when he was in Australia. But
hasn't made one in the NBL. 0.0 for 0.1 is this season and 0.0 to 0.2 his first season. So shot a fair bit more shot just under one. No, he shot 3 a night in China.
Okay.
He was shooting 29%. So yeah, you're right. I think maybe just a confidence thing. I don't think they allowed him to hoist him up here in Australia. And but yeah, like very talented player. Just probably wrong place, wrong time in my opinion. I think probably going to a team that could probably better utilize his skill set over in China will be better for his game. All right, stats: useful, useless, pro. This is from ESPN. The Bucks' last 2 games, pro. Thursday, 41-point loss to Memphis, and a couple of nights later, a 26-point win versus the Jazz. That 67-point swing, pro, is tied for second largest over a 2-game span in Bucks history. Useful, useless.
Say that one more time, Bogues.
So their last 2 games, they lost by 41 in Memphis. And then a couple of nights, their next game after that, they had a 26-point win. So it's a 67-point swing, pro. It's their second largest over a 2-game span in the Bucks history.
I think it's useless. I think the amount of teams that get blown the fuck out in the NBA, it's amazing to me. Like, it doesn't matter if you're the number 1 seed, number 12 seed. Like, teams are getting blown up by 40 points at an alarming rate, in my opinion. I have no data that sort of understands why this happens. So by them having that 60-point sort of gap, it's just, it doesn't, I don't even bat an eyelash at it anymore. I say it's useless to me.
Oh, very useless. I mean, the fact that ESPN even put this stat up is just ridiculous. As useless as you can. And to your point, Pro, about why teams get blown out, well, it depends what city they're in. If the strip clubs are open late in some cities, that's your reason. If they're in Miami, the Sun, the South Beach, if you're in New York, generally going to be a blowout. LA, a lot of guys spend too much time in the sun at times. So that's usually your reason. It's not so much the on-court, Pro, as we know. It's a lot to do with the off-court in regular season. In the playoffs, guys tighten up their routines a little bit. But in the regular season, yeah, a bit of an ouchie. But yeah, useless stat, ESPN, lift your game. The next one I think was decent from ESPN. The Nuggets scored, this is the analytics game of the season, Pro. The Nuggets scored 98 points in the paint the other night against the Washington Wizards. And it was against the Washington Wizards who, lost, about to lose 10 straight. So no surprise there. How do you give up 98 points
up 6 with 10 and a half left. 10 and a half minutes.
10 seconds?
No, 10 and a half minutes.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see. But that's the most in a game on record since 96-97. They made 49 shots in the paint, 4 from 3 and 1 from mid-range. I'm going to say that's useful. That's something in today's era. Like 96-97, fair enough. Like you had 2 lumbering big men, a 3-man that sometimes couldn't shoot threes that well. Today's age where you're hoisting up threes at all costs, to only make 4 and make 49 in the paint, fantastic, useful effort from the Nuggets, Pro. What do you got?
Yeah, I say it's useful. It's useful because, look, as much as the NBA and the analytics part wants you to sort of forget about post-ups and forget about mid-range and forget about some of these things, I think that they're all important shots. Now, should it go back to what it used to be, where teams would shoot like 4 3-point shots a game? No, I think it should. There should be like somewhere in the high 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, 3-pointer shot. But the mid-range is not a dead shot. If you can make it on a consistent basis and you're not grinding out to get those and they're just shots that are open, I think you should attack it. If you have a post-up guy that could post up, on switches, why not do it? Like, why not post up? Just because everybody else is, and there's a lack of like originality in the NBA anymore, and everybody's just doing the same thing. I just don't understand why teams just don't understand if, hey, we get these post-up players, let's use them once in a while. Let's post up a switch. Let's run a post ISO once in a while. It doesn't have to be every possession like the 80s or anything, but I think it should be done more, and it's not done enough. And, I think that one game showed it that it's just a small little fraction, but I think if you regularly did it a little bit more, I think it could be effective for you. I think it's a useful stat.
Very useful. You don't see that very often. And I think it's on steroids when you consider today's day and era of three-point shooting. All right, last one from me. SGA, Gilgeous Alexander there in OKC. When he scores 30-plus points in the last 2 seasons, pro, do you think they've got a winning record or a losing record?
Losing record. You definitely set me up for this one, you asshole.
12-27 when he scores over 30. That's not good. But let's keep in mind that the record's not too good probably when he's under 30, but 12-27 when he's over 30 is not great, pro. What do you got?
Well, Bogues, if they weren't so bad, if they weren't tanking and trying to get draft picks and all that stuff, I would say it's a very useful stat as far as if you're going to run everything through him and where it gets you, I would say it's useful. But I would say just because of the record, it's useless in my opinion because the team just hasn't been very good. So I don't think they were going to win games either way or want to win games either way. So I would say it's useless. That's just me though.
Yeah, I would agree. I think OKC haven't been great. It'd be interesting to see if they follow that up with what their record is when he's under, because it wouldn't be that great neither, right? They've just kind of cherry picked it, and they're not above a 500 team anyway. Period. So I think it's a bit harsh on SGA, but if they were, let's say a 500 team when he's scoring under 30, then yeah, you'd be like, hang on a second, you're being a bit selfish trying to get your numbers, but I think I give him a pass. So I'd say useless on that one, bro. Fact or fake news?
Bogues, Trae Young having a not so good season this year. I mean, with all the things that are done, with all the things that have been said by Atlanta, the whole fight with, the whole fight with his coach and all of this, and he's shooting awful numbers, 40% from the field, 28 from 3, and now 89 from the line. He almost, if he went down with the free throw shooting, he probably would have qualified for my award that I give every week. But are you going to see, you will see Trae Young in trade talks within the next 12 months? Fact or fake news? They blamed everybody else but him up to this point. They've had his back, but they're not winning. He's having one of his worst seasons as a pro. Not that he's been in the league a long time, but it is one of his worst seasons. Team's not doing well. He's going to burn through another coach at some point. Do they say within a year from today? Are you going to hear him in trade talks at all? Fact or fake news? They will.
You might hear him in trade talk, but I don't think they're going to trade him. I don't think they're going to explore it, just because I think that comparison still with Steph is probably alluring to Atlanta. Honestly, I think they think, don't forget Steph was on the block early in his career.
Yeah. Now Steph had major injury issues.
Injuries.
In the first couple of years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which is a fair point. I don't think they're moving him. I think they probably still see him as kind of a generational shooting talent. I'm not a fan. I mean, I haven't been a fan for a while. I think he's a good player. I just don't think you're going to win with him. Long term, are you going to win with him now? And to your point, what is this, third coach? With him as a superstar max guy, who are you bringing in to save the day? Your fourth one's not going to fix things the first 3 have. And I thought Nate has done a pretty good job, at least last season, considering where they were when they made the move. But yeah, man, I don't think he will be, because I think management will be scared of their ownership, and management will be scared to pull the trigger about will we ever replace him? Does he go somewhere else and blow up to being a Steph Curry? I think that's going to be the determining factor. They're more scared of will he go somewhere else and blow up, and then we have they go in our face, right? Whereas I don't think they should think about that. I think, maybe give another year or two, and then I'll try to move him, because if you haven't scratched another conference final or been in the mix, I think you need to go.
Yeah.
So fake news. I think there'll be discussions maybe by ESPN and there'll be leaks, but I don't think Atlanta will seriously entertain a trade talk. Bar something crazy happening, they can get a Giannis or something like that, which would never happen, right? Unless it's just absolutely crazy circumstance. But yeah, it's fake news. They're not going to trade him.
Yeah, I would say fake news, but I think he's going to end up being dealt probably within 24 months from today. I think that they're just finally going to they're finally going to get sick of it. If he doesn't really sort of change some things that he does, I could see them trying to just start over. Like, look, they're trying to trade Collins. The teams aren't doing well. Like, there's not really another superstar to sort of like hang their hat on. Capella's getting older. I think it's something that they're going to eventually move on from at some point, but probably not this year. Probably another year from now. I would say that's a possibility for sure. Bogues, so the Dallas Mavericks right now, another team struggling. They're up and down. They've got a lottery-protected top 10 pick they got in the Porzingis trade that they gave out to the Knicks. So if it's in the top 10, that they'll keep it. So it's for the top 10 pick that they'll keep it. If you were the GM or if you were running the Mavs, would you have them tank this year to get that top 10 pick to go with Luka to see maybe if you can get something in the lottery that you could put with them? So if you were running the Mavs, would you tank to get the top 10 pick, or would you just play the season out and see what you get? Because free agency is a shot in the dark. You have no idea what's going to happen in free agency. There's no big time talent that they could acquire through cap space. You don't know what you're going to get. Time's sort of ticking a little bit with the whole Luka thing in the next few years, 2 to 3 years, that they're going to need to sort of make a move with this. Would you tank to get a top 10 pick for this year, for this draft coming up?
Oh, fake news. You're not tanking with Luka Doncic on the roster, period. I think that actually hurts them with Luka free agency more than it helps them. But Luka goes down with any kind of injury where he's out for a long period, yes, they will. They will tank because their roster's played out. I think they've hit the point of you've got a generational talent in Luka, but that roster around him, it's not going to get it done. Period. I mean, you might sneak through a series if Luka gets hot and all those threes are falling, which we saw against Phoenix and whatnot. But I think they're very close. Outside of Luka, they're very close to the Chicago Bulls type roster, where it's like, all right, we've tried it. We made a bit of noise in the regular season. We won a playoff series, or in Chicago's case, didn't win a playoff series, but made it after not making it for a long, long time. Got to move away from it, and I think they're very, very close. If they don't start winning some games and get over 500 comfortably, which I just don't think they do. I think I'd love to know. I have to probably look it up, but how many different lineups they've had this season, man? Like, went from JaVale McGee in training camp. He's our starting center for the season, and then within, 3 weeks, he was getting DMPs. Christian Wood now starting, which is good and bad. He's not great defensively, not the smartest player out there, but he's a bucket. Luka's now in and out of lineup, hurt the last couple of games. So, yeah, I mean, just bad. They're not going to tank with Luka on the roster, but things will change. If he happens to sustain some sort of injury where he's out for a month plus, I could definitely see them tanking because it just doesn't make sense. The problem is, I mean, even with the tank, the West is so bad below them that they could tank their way to a play-in anyway, like with the West. So, but yeah, to answer your question, fake news.
Yeah, I don't think tanking's going to help them. I don't think a top 10 pick's going to help them. Yeah, it might put you in. Might give you 5% chance or whatever the percent chance is to getting, the kid from France. But it's not really worth it in the long run to do that. I think the competitive spirit of the team, trying to do everything they can do to try to put something together. It's really weird. That whole situation in Dallas is strange because, yeah, they lost Brunson, but they did have, Hardaway and Dinwiddie that they can get scoring from, and probably just not enough shooting around the team. Although, if you look at it, it's funny. Like, when you look at it, you don't think they're a good 3-point shooting team. And then they're third in makes, they're third in attempts, they're 14th in percentage. So they do make them, but, there is a lot of talk about.
They're still last in rebounds? Are they still last in rebounds?
Last in rebounds, last in offensive rebounding. yeah, they're last in those two categories for sure.
And defense is pretty bad too, right?
Yeah, and they got one of the best, defensive assistant coaches. Not that a coach matters a lot because of the fact that it's the players playing D, but Sean Sweeney is one of the better assistant coaches in the league.
Oh no, their defense is good. Sorry, bro. Their defense is good. 6th. Sorry, the assists per game are 28th.
Okay,
Their defense, opposing points per game are 6th in the league. Their points per game is 21st. So it's their rebounds and their assists, they're last and third last, which is pretty dismal.
No, yeah. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they are letting up they're second worst in the league at 3-point percentage for opponent. They're allowing 39% too. They're in a rough spot for sure. But it's just weird to me that they were so close last year. And yeah, like Brunson is a big loss. Don't get me wrong, he is. But they did have some scoring to sort of, to make up for it. And, to just you didn't expect them to go 15-15 at this juncture. But, Maxi Kleber's out now. They've had the whole center thing with Wood. Who do you play? Wood, Powell. Even JaVale McGee sort of sat, on the bench now. Complaints about not enough shooting, but they do have some guys that can make shots. Hardaway's been really bad. We've talked about that this year. Like, he's been really inconsistent with his scoring. Dinwiddie's been decent at times, but just consistency, I think that this team lacks the most of. Where like last year, you watch them around the playoffs, they were killing it. And just an interesting thing in the NBA. It's so finicky about a couple of changes in the roster, and it could pay big dividends for you either way. So just something weird to see. All right, Bogues. Last but not least, either the Lakers or Golden State, both sustaining huge injuries, for the next month or so with Steph and Anthony Davis out. One of those teams will miss the whole playoffs, play-in and all. One of these two teams are going to miss the playoffs. Fact or fake news?
Ooh, good one. Looking at the standings, Minnesota 500. I think the Lakers miss. You don't have to say one of two. Just I think the Lakers are still going to miss. I think this AD injury is going to kill them again. I think Minnesota, not a great team, but they should scratch a plane. At least they try to play a little bit of defense. Dallas are up there. Utah, they're still 17 and 15. They're way better than the Lakers are. They're 3 games above them. But yeah, I think the Lakers are going to fizzle out. God forbid LeBron tweaks a hammy or a calf and misses some games as well along the way. Which he's already had an injury earlier this season.
He'll go work out. He'll go down and work out in Miami for a week, and then end up averaging 47 and 20. But yeah, I agree.
And playing. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I do. I agree. I think it just puts a lot of pressure on LeBron in this next month without AD, and you're gonna have to up his usage. Look, they're doing everything in their power right now to be at 4 points at home against Washington. I think it's going to be a real struggle for them. And
the Warriors still have enough to steal some games. Jordan Poole had 43 today in a big win at Toronto. Clay's going to get hot in a few of those games without Steph, so they should tread 500-ish without Steph in the lineup. So I'm not too overly concerned. At least at home they will, so they'll get enough wins in the column to keep them in that playing realm. Whereas the Lakers don't have that luxury, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Golden State's a good team too. Like Wiggins has been out, and they do have some firepower sitting on the bench. I think that they're in a funk right now. I'm not in that building, so I have no idea why. And then obviously with the Steph deal, it's even worse. But man, I'm still scratching my head of what's going on with that team. I think many people are, but it is weird what's going on with that team.
And shout out to Thomas Bryant too, by the way. He's bounced back from an ACL injury. I was with him in LA for the 3 months, 4 months that I was there. Very fiery, passionate guy. Back then as a rookie, you knew he'd play in the NBA just because he was playing more G League, but he'd be trying to fight guys during practices. Like really, really kind of aggressive type player, like doesn't take a step back from anybody. So he's had a hell of a run here, and he's playing well again tonight. But shout out to Thomas Bryant, it's a name that you don't hear that often. That wraps up this week, bro. We're going to take the Christmas off. Nice. Don't eat too much. All you Australian podcast listeners, please, if you live in Sydney, come and support the Sydney Kings. First ever Christmas Day game in sporting history in Australia, not just basketball history, sporting history. We're giving it a crack, see if it's going to work, taking a bit of a risk. We have to double pay all, people at the arena because it's penalty rates, but we're taking that risk to try and put on a great show. Santa will be there, bring the kids, and it's going to be on the main network of Channel 10, so not 10 Peach and 10 Play and the alternate channels. It's going to be on free-to-air, Channel 10, the main station, Australia-wide. So if you cannot get to the game and you don't live in Sydney, you can still tune in and watch that against Melbourne United. It should be a great game. Melbourne United playing back into some form. Sydney Kings, tough loss against Southeast Melbourne. I'll be there in person for it with the kids and the family, and enjoy your break, pro. Turkey or chicken for Christmas? What are you doing?
Cake.
Cake for your main meal.
Yeah,
what's for dessert then? Chocolate.
Double fudge cake. No, we're going with. I think we're going to go with turkey. How about you, folks? What do you guys?
I'm putting a turkey in. I got a turkey actually. We're doing it today because we're leaving. We're doing it today with the family.
You're not doing a fried turkey.
Leaving.
You're not one of those crazy motherfuckers, are you? That do those fried turkeys.
Roast.
Oh, you roast it. You know how people like
roast.
You see those guys trying to fry it and they literally like burn their house down because it's so hard to do. Because it seriously, they have the big fryers, and you can watch it on YouTube. There's millions of videos on people like burning their shit down because it explodes. If you don't because you got to put all this oil and grease in, and you drop it in. If you don't know what you're doing, you could burn your shit down. Just so you know.
Yeah, not us. I'm just roasting it. I got a pretty big turkey though. It's 9 kilos or 15 odd pounds. So we're putting that in. I think we put that in at 1 o'clock today. So it should be ready by 7. Nice little slow cook there. But turkey's not huge in Australia. Okay. Not a big thing. It's mainly chicken, but we're giving the turkey a crack. And everyone else out there, have a very Merry Christmas. Enjoy your New Year with family, friends. And make sure you watch that damn basketball game here in Australia, bro. Have a good one.
You too, Bogues. I'll see everybody in a couple of weeks.
Let's get groove.